You ever feel like you're just a cog in a machine working for someone else's dream? Well, you're in the right place.
Have you ever found yourself dreaming of being your own boss? Turning some little passion project into a life of actual freedom and purpose? Well, today we're jumping into Chris Guillebeau's The $100 Startup, and we're going to lay out a practical blueprint for how to make that dream a reality.
All right, let's get into it. Just take a second and let that thought really land. I mean, seriously, imagine it. That one idea. That's the spark. That's the whole goal right there. The dream of finally taking the wheel and doing things your way. This is the core promise of the whole idea. It's about a massive shift in your thinking, from building somebody else's dream to finally starting to build your own. And the best part? You can start right now with what you've already got.
So you're basically standing at a fork in the road. On one side, you've got the path you know, the daily grind. But on the other, that's the escape plan, a path that leads to doing what you want when you want. And that's exactly what we're focused on today, making that second path a reality.
So how in the world do you actually make this escape? Well, it's not some get-rich-quick secret, I can tell you that. The entire philosophy really comes down to two simple but super powerful ideas: freedom and value. Freedom. I mean, that's what we're all after, right? But value, that's the key. Creating something that other people genuinely need, well, that's the actual practical road you take to get that freedom.
The key thing to understand here is that building this life of freedom, it's an active thing. It's all about finding ways to genuinely help people. When you shift your focus to creating real, tangible value for others, you're not just building a business, you're building your own independence, one happy customer at a time.
Okay, so you're on board. You're ready to create value. But what do you actually sell? The good news is you don't need some revolutionary, world-changing invention. Nope. The best ideas are usually hiding in plain sight, right at that sweet spot where your passions and what people are actually willing to pay for meet. It all starts with a little shift in perspective.
And this concept right here, it's a total game changer. Your customers, honestly, they don't care about your process, your fancy spreadsheets, or how many late nights you pulled. They care about one thing and one thing only: the result. They're hungry and they want the delicious meal. They do not want a lecture on how the oven works.
So let's start at the beginning. The first step in any great escape is figuring out what you're escaping from, and maybe more importantly, what you really need to get started. Okay, this right here, this is the question that stops so many amazing ideas dead in their tracks. We've all been told that starting a business is this huge, complicated thing that costs a fortune. But what if that's just wrong? According to the hundreds of real-life entrepreneurs in this book, the answer is a huge, resounding no. And here it is. This is the only business plan you need. It's not some 50-page document you slave over for months. It's a decision, a simple commitment to start. The most critical step isn't the planning, it's the doing. Okay, so you're ready to start. So here's a perfect real-world example. The author, a major travel expert, created this guide called Travel Ninja. It was packed with all these super intricate details about airline systems, and it totally flopped. Why? Because people didn't want to become airline booking experts. They just wanted the benefit: cheap tickets. He learned he had to sell the destination, not the complicated flight plan. So, how do you find your cheap ticket? It's probably easier than you think. Just start here. Ask yourself, what are you passionate about? What skills do people already come to you for? What drives you crazy that you wish someone would just solve? The answer is often sitting right there in front of you.
Now, this is where things get really practical. Once you have a few ideas bubbling up, you don't have to just guess which one to pursue. You use a simple decision matrix like this one. It lets you score your ideas on things like potential impact, how much effort it'll take, profitability, and how it fits your long-term vision. This is how you go from a messy brainstorm to a clear, actionable starting point. This next part is all about clearing up the mystery of how to find an idea that people will actually line up to pay for.
And the real beauty of this is how simple it is. Your big idea doesn't have to be some world-changing invention. It just needs to solve a small problem or make someone's day a little brighter. And of course, it has to be something you actually like doing.
Let's look at Jen and Omar. They were designers, they loved to travel, and they just wanted a cool-looking map to track their adventures. Couldn't find one, so they made their own. The only catch, the printer had a minimum order of 50. So they put the extras up for sale online, and you guessed it, a ton of other people wanted one too. Just like that, a personal project turned into a business.
All right, you've got an idea. But now comes that big, scary thought: money. I don't have thousands of dollars to invest. I hear you, but
But the good news is you absolutely do not need it. We're about to see that a lot of successful businesses start for less than what you'd spend on a fancy dinner out. Get this. Jen and Omar and their map business, guess what their total startup cost was? $500. That's it. That paid for their first print run, and they just split the cost. It totally changes what you think of when you hear the word funding, doesn't it?
And they are absolutely not the exception. We see a documentary business that got started for the price of a good camera, an ad agency that launched with a few $1,000s. The common thread here? Start small. The book is jam-packed with examples of people starting with hardly any cash. The secret? You trade your time and your effort, your sweat equity, for money. This lets you test out your idea without going into a mountain of debt. It's all about starting smart and starting small.
And forget about those 50-page business plans that take months to write. This is all you need to get going. The whole philosophy is biased towards action. The goal isn't to plan and plan forever. It's to start creating value and get paid for it as fast as humanly possible. This little mindset shift is what separates the people who dream from the people who do.
You've launched your brilliant, low-cost business. Now what? Well, you need customers. And this next part is all about getting the word out. But forget about sleazy marketing. We're talking about the gentle art of self-promotion.
So what does it even mean to hustle? It's not about being loud or annoying or pushy. It's actually really simple. It's just the combination of two things: doing really good work and then telling people about it.
Okay, so let's break that down. First, you've got the charlatan. That's all talk, no work. All style, no substance. Then you've got the martyr. They do amazing work, but they never tell anyone. All substance, no style. The goal is to be the hustler. That's the one who makes a real impact because they have both the style and the substance. You got to do the work, and then you got to do the work of telling people. Still think you need a huge advertising budget? Check this out. The author spent 10 grand on ads and got 78 customers. Okay, then he spent just 10 hours hustling, personally connecting with people, and he got 84 customers. The takeaway here is massive. Genuine, focused effort can be way more powerful and a whole lot cheaper than just throwing money at ads.
It's a cheap, powerful way to hustle.
It's called strategic giving. Check out this dressmaker, Megan Hunt. She made a few custom dresses for some influential bloggers for free. They loved them, they wrote about them, and boom, she was flooded with new customers. She led with generosity, and it paid off big time. We've now reached the final and maybe the most important piece of this whole puzzle: getting paid. And listen, this requires a huge mental shift. You have to stop trading your time for money and start pricing based on the value you provide.
Just think about that for a second. 10 seconds. What's it worth? $1? $10? What if I told you it could be worth $50? It all depends on the problem you're solving.
This story explains it perfectly. So the author locks his keys in his car. He's stressed out, he's late for something important. A locksmith shows up, opens the door in literally 10 seconds, and charges him $50. Was he paying for 10 seconds of labor? No way. He was paying for the immediate relief, the instant solution to a huge, stressful problem. That is value-based pricing. So how do you actually do this? First, stop trying to be the cheapest option out there. Compete on the unique value you create. Second, offer different tiers, like a good, better, and best model, so customers can choose their level of investment. And don't be afraid to raise your prices. Your focus should always be on this one question: how can I help people more? And this right here really is the main takeaway. If you want a life of freedom, you have to dedicate yourself to creating value for other people. Get that part right, and everything else we've talked about, the ideas, the launch, the hustle, it all just flows from that one powerful principle. And really, at the end of the day, that's what this is all about. It's a call to action. It's about stopping, looking at the pre-written script for your life, and deciding to take ownership of your own story, to build a life that is authentically and uniquely yours. Look, you don't need some grand 50-step plan to get started. You just need one small step. And that really brings us full circle, doesn't it? That's the core message of this whole escape plan. Whether you're pricing a service or choosing your career path, it all comes back to this one powerful idea. This whole journey is about building a life that is truly, authentically yours. So, as we wrap this up, there's really only one question left, and it's for you. You don't need the grand, perfect plan. You don't need a huge loan from the bank. You just need to take one small step. So, what's yours going to be?